Tonight it is time for round number 3 on the 2014 Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault Series presented by InsideSimRacing TV. Tonight, the Derek Spear Designs 120 from the Richmond International Raceway, welcoming you into the LSRTV broadcast booth. Evan Pasoko and Harrison Wineland's going to be along with you for the ride, as always, week in and week out. And Harrison, we're coming off of another great showing. Only 2 yellows last week at the Atlanta Motor Speedway that saw Adam Benefield go to victory lane, and another great race is what we're expecting tonight.
Oh, absolutely. 2 races into the season, only 2 cautions on the entire year, and just a 10-race series, so it's pretty much a group of drivers having a 10-race chase of their own, and it's anyone's guess who's going to come out of the gate swinging, but Adam Benefield off to a great start to the season, and right now I believe the provisional pole sitter.
Going to run you down through the top 10 from last week. Benefield took home the win. Bobby Terrell second. E.J. O'Rourke third. Rhett McBride fourth. Jonathan Cadell fifth. Kyle Tarasca made a season debut with a 6th place result. Dan Murray 7th. Scott Simley 8th. 9th place to Kevin Linden. First car 1 lap down. And Scott Stenzel would round out the top 10. And that makes the championship battle an 8-point differential. Adam Benefield, Bobby Terrell at the top of the pile. The only 2 drivers to have 2 top 5s in the first 2 starts. Bobby Terrell sits 8 points back from Benefield. Lacrosse is 9 back in 3rd, 10 back Justin Wilson in 4th, and in a 2-way tie for 5th is Dan Murray and Steve Ritter. Those guys are 12 points back.
Yeah, and Rhett McBride is just 13 points out of lead in 7th, and then there's a little bit of a gap to 8th with Ronnie Potts, who's 20 out of the top spot, followed by Scott Stimley, 23 out of 1st, and Cody Gibson rounds out the top 10, 25 points out of the lead.
So tonight, it's Henrico County, Virginia that plays host to the Richmond International Raceway, track that opened back in 1946, owned and operated by the International Speedway Corporation. The D-shaped oval and asphalt surface at 0.75 miles, 3/4 of a mile in length, 4 turns, 14 degrees of banking in the corners, 8 on the front straightaway, 2 on the backstretch. And again, those 160 laps tonight will equal 120 miles tonight's scheduled distance. Qualifying has come to a close. You mentioned Adam Benefield was on provisional pole. He's going to lock it up with a time of a 21:4:32. He'll start on pole position alongside him on the front row. Second place going to go to the 58 of Justin Wilson.
Mitch Rollo with a solid qualifying run will be starting from 3rd alongside of him, the number 8 of Cody Gibson.
Bobby Terrell, the Muscle Milk Chevrolet, the number 15, will start in P5 on the outside of row number 3. Matt Lacrosse into 21.
Steve Ritter, who won Talladega, starting 7th alongside of him, the number 5 of Dan Murray.
Scott Simley, the number 4 Ford, will start from P9 alongside him, and rounding out the top 10 is going to be the number 6 of Ronnie Potts.
Dwayne Vincent qualified 11th, a bit of an uncharacteristic mid-pack start for him. Starting 12th, the number 82, Jamie Moore.
Brian Harvey, the number 67 machine, will start in the unlucky number 13 starting position. Alongside him, Kevin Linden, the 48 Lowe's Chevrolet, in 14th.
Starting 15th will be the 77 of Sherry Ann Mills. Starting 16th, Keith Brooks Jr.
The last car to put down a time in qualifying is going to be Rhett McBride. The number 2 will start from P17. John Abbott scheduled to start in position number 18 on the outside of that row.
Starting 19th will be Forrest Shiner making his first start. Alongside of him, the number 41 of Corbin Himstreet.
Nathan Little, the number 97, was a substitute driver last week. He is now joining the series in a full-time ride, so he'll be starting the 97 in P21. And the last car that is shown to be scheduled to start in P22, driving the 88, is Joshua Williams, and he is scheduled to be a substitute driver tonight for Kyle Tarasca, who is unable to make the race. However, that 88 machine is not currently in the sim, was here for practice, did put down some laps, but is not in the sim. He is not here for the start of the race, so some sort of outside issues that's really going to hurt Kyle. Not only the fact that he missed the first race, but you have to rely on somebody else to be your sub driver, and looks like Joshua's having some sort of issues as we get the one to green, as he's not here in the sim.
Yeah, that puts some pressure on Kyle Tarasca when he comes back, because you know, even if Josh comes back, it's going to be hard for him to get back on the lead lap, and so that puts Kyle in a position where, you know, you can get away with a bad race, but can you get away with 2 bad races in just a 10-race season? That's to be seen.
Yeah, he was 52 points back entering tonight's event, and I don't think once you miss 2 complete races, you have a shot at walking away with those the Derek Spear Designs button box, the 2014 version, which is the prize to the series champion, but Kyle's going to have to battle for whatever points positions he can get at the end of 10 weeks. But round 3 gets set to start. Pace car to pit road. Adam Benefiel off nearly immediately. And a green flag is going to fly. Justin Wilson slides into second. Mitch Rollo in third. Is going to be side by side for fourth down into turn number 1.
Yeah, for a second there I thought Terrell was going to get underneath Rollo, and there he does. A little bit easy on entry, but slides up right up to Rollo on exit. Terrell going for position number 3 from actually number 15 this week.
Oh, the 8 machine trouble. Cody Gibson around and into the inside retaining wall. Caution flag flies to 97, and Nathan Little piles into it as well. And quickly under the yellow flag, and that was right behind that battle that you were talking about. And the 8 of Cody Gibson did not have a good start. The incident happens down in corner number 3, but out of 2 he was real slow. The 21 machine had to visibly check up behind him. That's Matt Lacrosse, and then once that number 8 went down into the corner, didn't get any help. Looks like he may have had to got on the brakes a little bit harder than he was expecting. The 99 was up in front of him. That's the Mitch Rollo machine, but 8 just got on the binders, went around, and a great job, the 5 machine, just getting on the brakes and could have easily piled into that. Dan Murray is able to get around it, but the 8 machine was on the inside lane, and then there goes the 97 of Nathan Little, who gets on the binders and actually spins that thing out and collects the number 8. So a 2-car incident early down in corners number 3 and 4 are going to put us under our first caution of the race.
Yeah, most of these cars are going to stay out on the track with such a quick yellow, but as you pointed out, a little bit too hard on the brakes or for the number 8 is exactly what triggered that. He's kind of looking at the car to the left of him, trying to clear Steve Ritter on the bottom, and just got in a little bit too deep, and when he was trying to get off of Rollo in front of him, that's when he lost the front end of the car, lost the back end of the car, actually. And as you pointed out, really nice avoidance by Dan Murray. Shows why he's a player week in and week out. Just gets on the brakes just enough, not too much to cause a stack up behind him, possibly put him in a vulnerable position there, but did what he had to do. And a tough start for Nathan Little, who got involved, as he pointed out, making his first start of the season, I believe.
And something that we have to bring up in the sim racing world is, in real life, you're going to have mechanical gremlins that can come up and bite you and cause you a bad night. In sim racing, it's all about your internet connection to the server. And Nathan Little, after, again, he was a sub driver last week, liked it so much he came on to start full-time tonight and got collected in that incident. He has actually dropped from the server, dropped connection, so he is not currently in the race. That puts him 2 laps down and essentially in last place right now out of the 20 cars that did start this race. Also a note on Forrest Schneider, the number 14 machine who started this race, was scheduled to start in 19th. He sits 19th right now. He is the only car 1 lap down. He actually started from pit road. So he's going to be trapped 1 lap down via that. And still a long way to go. We've got 160 laps is the scheduled distance. Lap 5 is what the leaders are working right now. But tough break for the number 14. He does have time to make it up, but not the way he wanted to start off his season debut. But he could have fairly easy started from pit road for that exact purpose of avoiding an early race incident. He did so, but it has trapped him 1 lap down, and he has to kind of yield to the rest of the field on the outside lane and let them all go on by.
Yeah, I think Schneider was starting on pit road really to play it safe. A lot of time, new league for him, so possibly just looking to get a finish, get some laps in before he really gets up there and races with everybody. But with him being the only car a lap down right now, Nathan Little currently off the track, shown 3 down as of right now. Schneider will get the lucky dog, most likely, should we have another caution within 20 or 30 laps. And so not a bad position for Schneider to be in, to learn in, and that's probably his goal, is to start off slow and then get there, get a little more racy as we go along through the evening.
And again, a reminder, the Tuesday night series, the Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault Series, is presented by InsideSimRacing TV. Go to InsideSimRacingTV.com or ISRTV.com as well to check them out for all the latest news and reviews in the sim racing world. And then again, Derek Spear Designs giving away one of the 2014 button boxes for the series champion, and also positions 1 through 25 into standings at the end of the season, going to be put in a draw for a set of pedals. So that's DerekSpearDesigns.com to check that out. Lights are off in a pace car. We are doubled up in quarters number 3 and 4. We're going to get set for another restart. Pace car down to the safety of pit road. Benefiel waits a lot longer this time than he did the last time around. Now he's on the gas. The green flag flies. We're off and racing. A good run by Bobby Terrell. He's going to try to battle for second. He'll stay in third. They're side by side once again for fourth into 1 and 2.
Yeah, Mitch Rollo stuck on the outside right now. It's a tough place to be in here in Richmond. All the grip is right up against that yellow line. And so Rollo is high, 21 of Matt Lacrosse right behind him. As Rollo, then the 99, looks to take advantage of Steve Ritter, a little bit slow coming off of turn 4. Murray looks low, 3 wide entering turn 1.
5's getting in on the binders a little bit more, backs out of that. It returns to 2 wide to 16. You get the grips down there, but not below that yellow line. Steve Ritter got the left side tires down on the apron, got sideways. That allows the 99 of Mitch Rollo to get clear on the outside. The 21 of Matt Lacrosse tried to do the same, and now they're going to be side by side, and now trouble back at a pack. Caution flag going to fly once again. Going to get a number on that one. That's 67 of Brian Harvey.
Yeah, Brian Harvey goes around in 3 and 4, going to have to back up and get the replay rolling in just a second. But it looks like as they were battling pretty hard throughout the field, it's a bit of a chain reaction as Harvey had to check up for the car in front of him, and the car behind him didn't quite check up enough, and it was the 41 of Corbin Himstreet who got into the back of Harvey. But looks like not too much damage. In fact, most of Harvey's damage came from after the wreck when he was backing off of the racetrack.
Yeah, the 67 of Brian Harvey was pretty much good to go, and he rolled it down backwards and actually backed it into the inside retaining wall for pit road there. But just a checkup, and almost a similar situation to what we saw last time, except the 41 of Himstreet did make contact with the left rear on that one. The replay going up now to take a look at that incident down in corners number 3 and 4. So this should give the wave around to Forrest Schneider. He'll go back to the lead lap, and that will leave all active cars on the lead lap. A couple of takers for pit road towards the tail end of the lead lap. A couple cars coming down, led by the 81 of Keith Brooks Jr., that Nationwide Chevrolet, going to come down for service.
Yeah, as far as Schneider actually taking the wave around on the outside of the track right now, as he pointed out, most people staying out on the racetrack, but one of the highest running cars to come down is that number 5 of Dan Murray, who we saw had quite a miss 2 cautions ago. And so two quick cautions to begin this one after only 2 cautions between the first 2 races. So a bit of a rocky start for these guys. However, 20 car field, 19 on the lead lap. And with 160 laps in this one, it's pretty much inevitable that we're going to get some green flag racing here, possibly even some green flag pit stops. But sometimes it can just be hard to get into that rhythm to start a race. But these guys have gotten into that rhythm just about every week, and will probably hit it at some point during this race.
Yeah, it seems to be the pattern that the majority of these races take, is that you'll see a couple yellows at the beginning, everybody tries to get settled into a rhythm, and then it's going to be that middle portion of the race where you get those real solid green flag runs. And then towards the end, that's when they start to use the bumpers, and you typically see the cautions breeding cautions, that coming true towards the tail end of this race. But green flag racing is possible. Again, this is not the only RSR series on LSRTV as well. Yesterday was the last race of the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series regular season, and they raced here at the Richmond International Raceway with the Cup cars, and that race had its fair share of green flag racing. So they're entering a 10-race chase. So if you want to check that out, again, Monday night, same time as this series starts on LSRTV, and also Real Sim Racing also hosting a truck series that occurs Friday night. You can sign up, race with them. It's allrealsimracing.com if you want to hop in any of these races. Again, you can still register to race this Asphalt Assault Series 10-race season. Again, last year it was a full 36-race season. They brought it back a little bit later this year, so only 10 races, no drop weeks. There's not a lot of room for error. That's one of the main talking points that we've discussed, Harrison, is you don't really have a lot of mulligans to use up. And the season started at Talladega, which one would consider the biggest wildcard race. It went green all the way, so not what we were expecting from that. But rolling out of tonight's race, you're going to be looking at races like Chicago, Kentucky, Michigan, Kansas, Charlotte, Phoenix, Homestead. A lot of 1.5s moving forward here. But again, 10 races. It's race number 3 tonight. So those guys that have been able to make trips to victory lane, we have 2 different winners so far, Adam Benefield and Steve Ritter, getting the season kicked off with their foot in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And Benefield is probably liking those 1.5 milers on the schedule, as we saw just how dominant he was last week, able to stretch his lead and stretch it even further with the green flag pit stop and just keep on moving away from the field. And you know, here we are at Richmond, a very different racetrack from Atlanta, and once again on the pole, not able to get into the rhythm of the race quite yet, but obviously has led every lap so far as we work our way through 3 and 4, coming to the green flag.
Pace car down to pit road. Benefield off nearly immediately as the green flag flies. We're racing once again, side by side for second as the 58 of Justin Wilson did not get the start that he was looking for. The 15 of Terrell nearly clears him down into the corner. Now they're going to be door to door through one and off of corner number 2, and Terrell's going to win that battle on the inside lane. Now Matt Lacrosse wants a shot. It's going to be for third.
Yeah, as Lacrosse right on that yellow line, slides up just a hair in the center. Rolo in the 99 also trying to work his way through this battle. Rolo working alongside the 58 of Justin Wilson. And this is that tough area where you just want to get clear of traffic, you want to get some open track and really just try to feel out what your car has and see how you match up against the cars you're around. Lacrosse actually looking pretty quickly. The 21 got into third, now actually closing in on the 15 of Terrell.
Adam Benefield set sail at the front of the field. He has more than a second. Bobby Terrell in second place on back. First side-by-side battle is for 7. Steve Ritter on the inside. The challenger was the 4 of Scott Simley. He was on the outside lane, did not get a good run off a 2, and that actually allowed the 6 of Ronnie Ponce to go through it. 4 slides up the corner. He opens up the door for the 5 of Dan Murray. Can he use the run off 4 to get clear of the 5? No, he cannot. And now down into the corner, Dan Murray's going to continue to make that a side-by-side battle. Meanwhile, Matt Lacrosse, the 21 Quick Car Chevrolet in the fence out of 4. He's stuck on the outside lane and trying to hold off the 9 machine, trying to close in. That's Dwayne Vincent. Vincent trying to keep a nose there. He's not going to be able to do so at corner number 4.
Yeah, Dwayne Vincent in the 9 pointed out how his 11th place qualifying position was a little uncharacteristic of him, already up to 6th working on Lacrosse. And what happened to Lacrosse a few moments ago was Bobby Terrell actually missed the turn 1 entry, was real tight and had to cut back down, and it was while Lacrosse was trying to take advantage of that lost momentum for Terrell, and so Lacrosse got heavy on the binders, coming through the center of 1 and 2, lost everything, and it just got caught side by side as other people took advantage of Lacrosse's loss of momentum. And so right now they got everything sorted out. Dwayne Vincent stays behind Lacrosse in 6th, and problem is Lacrosse got the wall out of turn number 4, which actually Justin Wilson, the 58, just did. Now that could have a negative impact on the car because these things have a tendency to get tight quick. And so anything that hurts the right side of the car can make you a little bit tighter, not what you want to do here tonight.
One-time winner already this season, Steve Ritter making an aggressive move as he sits behind the number 6 of Ronnie Ponce. Ponce was just able to get around him. That was a battle for P7, and Dan Murray again was trying to stick a nose down there in the corners number 1 and 2, and for all intents and purposes had the nose there. The 16 came down, shut the door, forced that number 5 to back off, and they would have probably ended up in the fence. So Steve Ritter being aggressive for a position. Now side by side further up, Matt Lacrosse once again finds himself at outside lane to 9, and Dwayne Vincent continuing his charge towards the front after starting back in P11. That time by the stripe he has 5th. And now the 6 machine, Ronnie Ponce, also going to try to capitalize. Lacrosse once again just trapped on that outside.
On how frustrating that is to go from battling for second, really looking like the fastest car on the track for a moment there, to just an endless side-by-side, stuck on the outside, not a whole lot of grip there. You can work it, try to clear someone as the 5 of Murray gets underneath of Ritter. That's for position number 8. And so Ritter now stuck to the outside behind Lacrosse, but looks like Lacrosse is going to be able to get down here in front of the 5 of Dan Murray.
And on board with Steve Ritter, you see the 5 machine of Dan Murray slide up in front of him. Murray now has that position as things single file out. For a moment, we've had our fair share of side-by-side since we've gone back green flag racing. Now a quick moment for these top 10 drivers to catch their breath, and the 58 of Justin Wilson is going to let Dwayne Vincent get around him to win Dixie Ford of Wilson, losing a position there. So you said it was an uncharacteristic starting spot for number 9 Dwayne Vincent, who qualified in 11th position, had a top 10 car in practice, maybe just missed it on that Q run because he's now up to P4.
Yeah, looking pretty strong, and this is the part of the run where the tires have certainly fallen off from where they are with all the freshness in them. And so looking at these lap times, right now the leader is approximately 6 or 7 tenths off of what he qualified from. And looking at Dwayne Vincent's times, You know, he's about par with the leader right now, and as he starts running more single file laps, it'll be interesting to see exactly how he matches up. It appears that the third place car, Mitch Rollo, might not have as much speed as a couple of guys behind him, and but quite the gap right now from third to fourth, Rollo to Vincent.
And Benefiel and Terrell are trying to really run away with this one. Benefiel's been able to kind of balance out that lead at about 1.3 seconds from him back to Terrell. So top two at a racetrack are top two in the championship standings. And Mitch Rollo's about 3.6 seconds back from the race leader, or about 2+ seconds back from Terrell. So the top two really trying to run away with this. But Bobby Terrell, that 15 machine, has not had the best qualifying efforts. So after starting today's race in the top 5, you have to think he's going to be a contender. He's second again in the championship standings. He's second on the racetrack right now. And by the way, he finished second in the championship standings last year by 1 point. So you got to think Bobby Terrell, he's ready to get this thing to victory lane because he's tired of running around P2.
Oh, absolutely. And to lose by 1 point, just absolutely heartbreaking. But Terrell, a driver who can win on any given racetrack, and this time by on the stripe, Benefiel at a 22.05, Terrell at a 22.06. So the top two cars basically mirroring each other's lap times. Rollo picked up the pace from what I saw him at a few laps ago, and really the top four are all, it's actually a side-by-side battle for the fifth position. Dan Murray in the 5 working his way past the number 6 of Ronnie Potts. And it's, as there's contact, the 58 goes around. The 58 of Justin Wilson, who was headed backwards somewhat. It doesn't look like he gets into the wall, but a collision there coming through turn number 4. The 58, I believe it was Steve Ritter who possibly got into him.
Yeah, Ritter got in there a little hot, caught the left rear of the 58, and then the 2 machine gave Ritter an extra little bump, and both those machines went around. So we go back under the caution flag period. Quick note, we now have 2 cars that are out of the race. Again, Nathan Little, after dropping connection, has yet to join back. Keith Brooks Jr. now dropping from the server. The number 81 machine caught the fence on lap 27 at a corner number 2, got to the apron, got loose, walked it up the hill, and made some significant contact with the turn 2 retaining wall, lost that engine, a lot of smoke. He has come down pit road and again has pushed that machine behind the wall, so his night is going to come to a premature end. Steve Ritter, Cody Gibson, only 2 cars, 1 lap down, as Adam Benefiel brings them all down for some caution flag pit stops.
Oh yeah, I should see everyone go with 4 tires here. And that incident that we just saw with the 58 getting turned by the 16 of Ritter is a perfect example of just how much more grip there is against the yellow line. Ritter just a lot more corner speed than Wilson, who was a little bit higher on the racetrack. But I do think we'll see 4 tires for everyone down here. Terrell really close to Benefiel entering their pit stalls, though, so it'll be interesting to see. Pit crew can certainly change the leader right here.
And you see those green cones at the end of pit road that signify the end of pit road. The 99 of Mitch Rollo is going to be the first car out. He's going to go with a 2-tire right side only call. And it is a drag race at the line, and that's really close. It looks like Bobby Terrell may have gotten it. That is photo finish worthy there at a pit road. And those green cones represent where the scoring loop is going to be. And the advantage of qualifying on pole for Benefiel is he only has maybe 10 feet to go from his stall to the line. So typically he'll get the advantage on pit road exit. However, that time by, I said Bobby Terrell didn't want to run around in P2 anymore. They nailed it on that 4-tire stop. He'll be the first car out on 4 fresh tires. Mitch Rollo will assume P1 sitting on 2 tires. And it was a 14.5 second stop for Terrell, 15 for Benefiel, so half a second differential between those 2 drivers. Also to note, Steve Ritter, the number 16 Amsoil Chevrolet, stayed out as he was sitting a lap down and stayed out behind the pace car as the leaders cycled through and came in. However, he did not stay out to get the wave round. He came down for service the second time around and sits in his stall. Now he exits, trying to get some rear end damage on that machine repaired.
Yeah, and with Rollo going with 2 tires here, not a terribly long run. That last run that we had was approximately 20 laps. And so not too many laps on those left sides. You know, when you're early on in these races, a lot of guys will go with the pit strategy, try to see how it makes their car handle. But if you're Bobby Terrell in that 15 car, you just leave that pit stall and you're like, oh, come on. Of course I get past Benefield here and have to start on the outside of the front row, which is often not ideal. A lot of times you'd rather be third. And so Terrell wins the race off pit road as far as the 4-tire cars, but going to be stuck on the outside, which could put it back into Benefield's hands here once they get going.
Steve Ritter will be deemed the cause of the caution after getting down into the corner and catching the left rear of the machine in front of him. So he will receive the end of the longest line penalty. He'll have to go to the tail end of all these cars for the ensuing restart. But again, he does sit one lap down anyways. So now we have 2 cars that would be battling it out for the last car on the lead lap position. Cody Gibbs and Steve Ritter, both machines are 1 lap down. They would fight for that lucky dog spot. Coming up here on the next yellow flag. Lights are off at a pace car. We are doubled up once again. It is going to be Mitch Rollo, as you mentioned. The Jag Chevrolet is going to be starting on the number 1 spot. He qualified in 3rd with a 21.47, so just 4 100ths off the pole. And it's going to be Bobby Terrell, who made all of that work, really drove it in hard there on pit road. 4-tire stop was the first car off on 4 tires. But he's going to be put on the outside of the number 1 row, which sometimes is not as good as a starting spot as 3rd place, which is where Adam Benefield sits. Pace car down to pit road, 99 off almost immediately. And there you go, the 85 of Benefield trying to keep a nose in there side by side for 2nd. Does he throw it into the corner? Yes, he does. Going to be side by side for P2.
And with Dwayne Vincent right behind Benefield, Vincent, who was fast on that in that longer run that we just had, going to look to take advantage of this as well, as a lot of these cars running similar lap times, and so track position, just about everything. Is the 99 of Rollo way up the hill, starting to feel out those 2 tires. Not quite the grip that he expected, as Terrell was able to clear Vincent for 3rd. So we got 4 cars all in a row here, and then for 5th place, Lacrosse and Potts side by side. But it's the 85 Benefield looking underneath Rollo for the lead.
He got those left side tires down below the apron and had to walk it up the hill, and that opens up the door for Adam Benefield. Benefield through and nearly clear off of corner number 4. Now he does clear. The 99 of Mitch Rollo tucks down in line for 2nd. You have to anticipate that Terrell, Vincent, and company are going to try to get around this 99 here relatively soon on those 4 tires, but it is the 6 of Ronnie Potts. He was P6 last time by the stripe. He is stuck on the outside lane, not the preferred lane. The 5 of Dan Murray has gotten through and clear. Now the 2 of Rhett McBride through and clear, and now the 82 is the next challenger. That is Jamie Moore. Moore can't keep the nose there. He'll cycle back in line, and a 2 machine of Rhett McBride's going to get a shot from the 6. He tries to hang on in the corner, and now another car is going to be involved. The 41 machine piles into it. That's Corbin Himstreet, and I do not believe the caution flag is out.
Yeah, both those cars coming to a rest on the apron actually did not trigger the caution flag, so we'll have to see if these cars get going quickly. I do see that both those cars are away from the scene of the accident, though, but Red McBride, that was just, he cleared Ronnie Potts, and looking at this replay, it was simply a scenario where, you know, hard braking zones, drivers will have to anticipate where the car in front of them is going to brake, and Ronnie Potts just didn't quite know where Rhett McBride was going to brake. It results in some pretty significant damage for that 2 car of McBride. The 41 of Himstreet piling in there, getting a little front end damage as well. But we remain green, and those drivers lost a lot of time on the racetrack.
They do remain on the lead lap, and we'll get a more accurate number here as they cycle through at a corner number 4. But about 11 seconds back from race leader is Corbin Himstreet, and 15 back is Rhett McBride. If you want to translate that with race leader Benefield running lap times just below 22 seconds, Himstreet is just over half a lap behind. McBride only has about 5 seconds in front of Benefield until he would be an immediate threat of losing his lead lap. Side by side for position number 2. Mitch Rollo on the outside lane. Bobby Terrell had it at the stripe and off the corner. The 99 can't get back to the gas as well as the 15 did, so he'll slide back to 3rd, which is where Dwayne Vincent, the number 9 Napa Chevrolet, picks up and almost going to clear the 99 off the corner. Can't get the job done this time by. He'll have the spot at the line. Expect him to clear him down into 1 and 2. He does. The 99 tries to squeak in line in front of Dan Murray.
Yeah, the problem with the 99's 2 tires is simply lateral grip. The car just really looks like it has a tendency to push. He can't get to the yellow line, and it's just incredible the difference in grip between the very bottom of the racetrack and just a few feet above there, the car just does not want to turn. And so it's one of those things where we're early on in this race. Mitch Rollo was running third before the yellow, right now shown in fourth, but Murray in the number 5 looking low. As we ride on board with Mitch Rollo right now, side by side, running the high side, trying to hold off Dan Murray, but Murray coming through this field probably should have no problem clearing the 99 of Rollo, but you could just see how much he's got to turn that wheel and get it off of the corner here, as just in a moment he'll probably be under attack from the number 21 of Lacrosse.
The Steel Horse Racing number 5 of Dan Murray is through and clear as we are on board with the 99 of Rollo. The 21 machine of Lacrosse sits about a car length and a half down the back, or down the front straightaway rather, down to the corner, closes it in by a car length. It's about 4 feet to the bumper at a corner number 2 as Lacrosse tries to set up that number 99 for a pass. We have 16 cars on the lead lap against Steve Ritter, Cody Gibson, the only machines not on the lead lap still in this race. 2 retirees so far, Keith Brooks Jr. and Nathan Little are done. They'll finish P19 and P20 respectively, but Adam Benefiel, again, he restarted third after Terrell was able to pick up a spot, but it put him on the outside of the front row, and Benefiel has once again gone back to that 1.3 second lead, which is what he got the last time we were on a decently length green flag run in front of Terrell, only this time Terrell has a lot more company. He doesn't have that 2 second back. The 9 machine is right there behind him, and now the 82 with Jamie Moore's in the grass down the front.
Yeah, once he gets going, I'm not sure he's going to bring out a caution because he's out of the way right now as he gets spun around. I don't believe any more cars are coming. And that brings out the caution as the number 2 McBride was passing the scene. And so we will have a caution, which is a good break for Brad McBride, who can fix a lot of that damage that he sustained, as well as the 41 of Himstreet. As it looks like the 82 of Jamie Moore just got a little bit loose out of turn number 4 and slid through the grass. No damage for him, though. But happy to see that caution so that he could get caught up and fix whatever damage he has.
So we close it on the 100 to go mark as under the yellow flag, race leader Adam Benefiel gets set to come down pit road for some more caution flag service. He'll bring down with the 15 of Terrell. The 9 of Dwayne Vincent will enter in third, trying to see if we have anybody stay out from the lead lap cars. Looks like a couple of cars, Steve Ritter and Cody Gibson, the lap machines, are going to stay out and get their wave by. That will bring us back to 18 cars on the lead lap, but going to be interesting to see if any of these guys that just took 4 tires, if they'll go with 2, or if they take Mitch Rollo as an example and stick with 4 as they enter their stalls.
Yeah, it could be a bit of a mixed bag here, although some of the drivers that were running with Rollo probably recognized the lack of grip that he had and decide to go with 4. But Mitch Rollo going to take 4 this time, as one of the cars that stayed out is the number 77, who was running in 11th before the caution flag, so unsure if she's just staying out to lead a lap and then come back in, or will be restarting the race from the lead. But it looks like the first driver off of pit road was, in fact, the 85 of Benefiel.
Yeah, the 9 machine of Dwayne Vincent actually beat Bobby Terrell out for position number 2, so Terrell slides back to 3rd, and Vincent will lead pit road in position number 2. Sherry-Ann Mills does lead the lap, get the bonus point, and she is down pit road for service. Top 10 as we run right now: Mills, Benefiel, Vincent, Terrell, Wilson, Murray, Rollo, Lacrosse, Simley, and Ronnie Potts. Going to step away for our first commercial break of the evening. When we come back, going to have more racing under the lights tonight at the Richmond International Raceway with Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault Series. A couple laps after a restart, it is Adam Benefield once again, guys, back to that 1.2, 1.3 second gap, this time over Dwayne Vincent. He sits in P2. Behind him, Terrell, Murray, and Wilson round out the top 5 as the Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault Series presented by Inside Sim Racing TV. Tonight, the Derek Spear Designs 120 has passed the 100 to go mark, not quite halfway yet. And now the trouble with the 58 machine, that's Justin Wilson. He's in the grass once again. Does he bring out a yellow? He slides back up on track. And it appears we're going to stay green this time.
Yeah, when he come back onto the track, nobody was on their way, and so remains green. Been in a bit of a rough race here last couple laps for Wilson. Turned around twice. This time, I believe... This time he had a little bit of help from Matt Lacrosse. However, he was extremely loose coming through 3 and 4, and so just one of those situations where not all on Lacrosse if that were to bring out a caution, but Wilson gets going again, and he's in 17th, 15 seconds out of the lead, as Benefield has a second and a half on Dwayne Vincent, actually 1.7 now this time by. That 85 of Benefield, he proved that he has the short run speed, and it seems like he has the long run speed too, which is exactly how he looked at Atlanta last week. Real quick out of the gate, but he didn't fall off.
And only 2 races into the season, he sits with an 8-point lead. Doesn't sound like a lot, but he's really been the car to beat. He has an average finish of 1.5. He started off the season with a P2 result. Last week finished P1. Tonight he sits right now in the #1 position. So Roll Speed Dynamics Chevrolet is putting on a show right now, already up to 2 seconds. So he's really just knocking off tenths, about 3 tenths quicker than Dwayne Vincent the last time by. This time by Vincent is able to go back down to a 22.0, so only a 10th gained by Benefield. But I mean, he's straight flying. He's been nailing the restarts, getting real good jumps on him, going almost immediately on the pace car, and nobody else has really been able to stick with him quite yet. I mean, he was the 3rd fastest in practice, so Brett McBride, Mitch Rolo did beat him out in the practice times, but they really haven't shown a lot. Benefield has really dominated this one since the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, and his line is just very clean. He's taken a bit of an arc into turn 3, and at Richmond, it's really a track that's so incredibly easy to overdrive, and so as long as you're hitting your braking points and just getting to that yellow line and not coming in with too much speed, as you see, just so much grip on the bottom, and Adam is getting pretty much every ounce of that grip, and it just, I can't stress how easy it is to overdrive. I can't stress that enough. And so what definitely makes that a little bit easier is when you don't have the pressure of someone behind you. You could stick with your own rhythm, move at your own pace, and it usually works out a whole lot better for you.
We're side by side with the onboard camera there. We close in to next time by the start-finish line as Adam Benefield works through 3 and 4. Going to be 10 laps till we hit the halfway point as he completes lap number 70, hits lap number 71. He has continued to extend that gap, and going to get an update on that this time by 2.2 seconds is the gap. Terrell is hanging pretty tough with Vincent. He's about 3/10 off of him. Dan Murray is on the back bumper to Bobby Terrell. Murray, after starting P8 sits right now in the number 4 position on the racetrack, but this looks like it could have the makings of the long green flag run that we expect to see about mid-race, because everybody, despite the fact that 17 of these machines are still on the lead lap, 17 out of the 18 that are still running are on the lead lap. Everybody is fairly spread out, and again, looks like everyone's giving each other a little bit of room for now. Still some good battles throughout the field. A couple guys in bumper to bumper, but nothing really major at the moment. Interesting enough to note on that spin there, when we saw Justin Wilson go around, he backed it back up onto the racing surface, and in order to get back going forward, actually did come to a complete stop at one point, and then started to roll again. Did not bring out the yellow. However, Jamie Moore never did come to a complete stop at a racing surface, but the yellow did fly. So just something interesting enough to note. Again, that's not an RSR decision. That is up to the iRacing sim. So Jamie Moore rides right now P12 rather. I'm sure Justin Wilson would have appreciated a yellow, and he's on the apron. He's kicking that rear end out sideways, having some major handling issues at a 4 as he rides in 17th, and he's about a couple laps off of losing his lap at 58 of Wilson.
Yeah, I think that handling issue pretty much exacerbated by driving frustrated. That's exactly what's causing his handling issues right now. He wants a caution bad, and he's driving that car about as hard as he can. He certainly doesn't want to lose a lap and have to start at the tail end if he can help it. And so right now his lap time's, faster than a number of guys in front of him, but certainly nowhere close to the rest of the field as Dan Murray, the number 5, possibly a battle heating up is between Murray and Terrell, as Murray has actually restarted one of these restarts from the 12th position, had a lot of cars to pass, currently shown in 4th, and he definitely looks like he has a lot of speed, as we see Benefield, the lead that Benefield has pretty much staying static at about 2.5 seconds over Dwayne Vincent, as Murray just looks for a way to get around the number 15 of Bobby Terrell.
Trouble the 14 of Forrest Schneider slowed down the back straightaway, got sideways off the corner, and that would be the second time tonight that it looks like the 16 of Steve Ritter got into somebody's left rear. However, this time the DuPont Chevrolet, the number 14, was able to hang on to it. He settles back in position number 15. So a close call there has been avoided. You mentioned he continues to try to set up that number 15 of Terrell for a move, a little bit more bumper to bumper back in the pack. It was a battle temporarily between the 4 of Simley and the 6 of Ronnie Potts for position number 6. However, that has since spread back out to about 2 car lengths separating those 2 drivers as they run through 3 and 4.
Yeah, and just touching on that Steve Ritter incident, that's another situation where the car in front of him was a bit high, and you could carry so much more center speed right up against that yellow line where all the grip is that you want to take advantage of that. And sometimes the hole just closes up that quickly, and around goes the car in front of you. But a really good job by Schneider to hold on to that race car, as actually Simley looked pretty vulnerable a second ago to the number 6 of Ronnie Potts. Potts got right up to that number 4 car with his number 6, and unable to take that
side by side for position number 13, and almost a slide job of sorts by the 14 of Schneider. That's actually for position 14, and that DuPont machine was able to clear the 41 Boomtown Sim machine of Corbin Himstreet down in 1 and 2. And they single fouled it out at a 4. And now a bad exit for Brian Harvey. He's going to open up the door. The Fearless Racing Chevrolet. The only Impala in the field is that Hot Wheels number 67. Stuck on the outside lane. The 14 machine through and cleared that Schneider. And he brings the 41 of Himstreet with him. Corbin Himstreet has not had the results that he's been looking for by far. Enters tonight already a race out of it in the points. And he has started both races, but he sits 42 points back in position number 15 in the standings, so no top 10s yet. The number 41 team is looking to try to make that thing turn around, and he's on the apron there at a 4. He's going to walk it up the hill, hang on to it, but that's going to allow the 67 of Harvey to go on by. The 8 machine, Cody Gibson, a lap car, so not for position, but that 8's going to go to the bottom as well.
Yeah, one little mistake. That's 2 positions right there, although he's trying to fight back on the outside of that number 8 of Cody Gibson. Both cars with quite a bit of damage, but that number 8 looks like it's been through the opening round of a destruction derby, demolition derby, and but surprisingly holding a little bit better than I would expect that number 8 car to be right now. Is Harvey just really struggling with his race car? That 67 in front of the 8 skates way wide through turn number 4. The 8 kind of looks low a little bit, stays in line, however, as the 14 of Schneider was with these guys after just getting run into, and clearly Schneider quite a bit of speed as he's left this pack in a hurry.
That battle for third has finally ended up side by side. The 15 pushes high a little bit, nearly gets into the driver's side door of Terrell. They don't make contact. It's a drag race down the back. And now into corner number 3, Dan Murray will get through and cleared as the 15 try to come back at him out of corner number 4. He's got to run the crossover to the bottom, sticks the nose in, and now once again going to go side by side for P3 down into corners number 1 and 2. The 15 of Dan Murray has to run the unpreferred lane up top. They are going to be door-to-door once again down the back straightaway and down to 3 and 4. The battle continues to rage on. The 15 of Terrell gets cleared. Does the 5 put the crossover on him like Terrell did to him? Yes, it does. And they'll keep swapping at this. Harrison, they're going to go once again side by side down into 1 and 2. This time it's Terrell up top.
Yeah, side by side once again. And it's one of those situations where if you're able to clear the guy above you, you just want to make sure that you straddle that yellow line on the bottom. And just not become vulnerable on the exit here. I believe these drivers have pretty good drive off with these nationwide cars, and so it's all a matter of staying on the bottom and not sliding too wide on exit, scrubbing a bunch of speed. But Murray looks like he's going to be able to distance himself from that number 15 Muscle Milk Camaro, Bobby Terrell. As Terrell now getting a little bit of pressure from the 21 of Lacrosse, but Murray looks like he has a little bit more speed right now. Dan Murray up to position number 3.
We have a lot of these kinds of battles. One is the positions 3rd through 5th, another one further back, positions 6th through 8th, where all these cars are within about a second or 2 of each other, but it is about 1 or 2 car lengths that all separate them from each other. So as the green flag run progresses and the tires start to fall off, and we'll see who has cars better on the longer run, you'll start to see people slowly make up time, like we saw Dan Murray do on Bobby Terrell. But it also presents the fact that you can work at this for 20, 30 laps and just try to be so consistent to make up one spot. You make one mistake by getting those left side tires too low, and you can lose at least 4 or 5 of them that quickly.
It's one of the most frustrating things in the world, and that's the trouble with that's the real challenge with racing in a tight pack. And that's one of the things that these guys are going to avoid. Sometimes it makes drivers really just go a little bit conservative to avoid that, even if that means you know, staying where they're at while being a little bit faster. And as you point out, really 3rd through 8th, pretty close. A little bit of gap between each car, but barely enough space to get comfortable. As looking at the gap between 1st and 2nd, Benefiel has put 4.5 seconds on Dwayne Vincent, so it's pretty clear. You know, he certainly has not lost his edge on this long run.
And last week's race at the Atlanta Motor Speedway finished with a long green flag run that included green flag pit stops. Benefiel was able to take that one over Bobby Terrell by 5.6 seconds. Only 8 machines survived to finish on the lead lap in that one. We have 17 cars at a lead lap right now. Justin Wilson in the fence is a car that is P17, and Adam Benefiel is closing in rather rapidly behind him. Benefiel can see maybe the tail 5 cars. He can see Sherry-Ann Mills, Brian Harvey, Corman Hemstreet, and maybe even Forrest Schneider up in front of him as those machines start to slide back. And Adam Benefiel is going to start to close in and start to knock these cars off at the lead lap, which would not be good news for Cody Gibson, as Gibson right now would sit in the lucky dog spot. He's the only machine 1 lap down, but as soon as Benefiel starts knocking these machines off the lead lap, that's going to trap that number 8 machine that 1 lap down.
Yeah, and it won't be too long until Benefiel catches a 3 or 4 car battle between Gibson is just ahead of Brian Harvey, Corbin Hemstreet, and Sherry-Ann Mills right with them. And, you know, he's pretty thankful that he's got such a comfortable lead, because that can be a bit sketchy to work through a real pack of lap traffic there, because those guys are racing for position. And, you know, sometimes they're not really thinking about getting out of the leader's way. But Justin Wilson Just kind of moves to the side for the 85 of Benefield. Benefield, but right on the leader's back bumper here, but I do believe he's going to tuck in behind him and let him go.
Talk about that 3-car battle. It does include side-by-side off the corner. They've been side-by-side for a few laps. And on the outside lane, the 41 of Him Street nearly clears that 67 of Brian Harvey. They're going to go back to door off of corner number 4, the 77 of Sherry Ann Mills. That Ford sits right now. It is going to be the last spot on the lead lap behind that side-by-side paddle. Now the 67 is nearly going to get clear. Had to get on the binders there off the corner. Looks like he might have got a little bit loose, and that opens up the door once again. The 41 of Him Street back to the outside lane. But as they continue to battle side by side, not only are they slower than race leader by themselves, but if you're running double file, you're going to lose that many more tenths a lap in lap times. And that's allowed Adam Benefield to close in. Both of these machines, all three of them actually, are only about 1 second in front of Benefield. Benefield's got to be careful navigating through this. He does have a 5.3 second gap to work with, so he really doesn't need to push the issue, but he's to the outside on Sherry Ann Mills.
Yeah, Sherry Ann Mills waving the driver by as she's going to tuck in behind the leader. And a lot of times when you're kind of like when you're battling in a situation like this, it's better to let the leader go, let him open the doors for you, see what he can do. But this battle between Corbin Hemstreet and Brian Harvey has been going on for quite a while. I do think Adam's not going to be too patient here. Just patient enough. He doesn't want to lose more than a second, or really he doesn't want to lose anything. But they get that sorted out as Hemstreet clears Harvey. But Harvey drives into turn 1 pretty hard, but the 85 of Benefield working right up to that back bumper of the 67.
And the 67 and the 41 again are no longer side by side. We are underneath 60 laps to go. The 100 lap mark has come and gone about 2 laps ago as Benefield takes lap 103 by the stripe. He clears the 67 machine of Brian Harvey. And what we have this green flag run, I want to talk a little bit of statistics as we're going to go side by side for P5. Ronnie Potts is going to get around the 4 of Simley, and like I mentioned, Harrison, one little bit of a slip up, and all that work you had to either make up ground or maintain position, and you lose 2-3 spots there at once. As Simley was 5th last time, he'll be 7th this time by the strike. But you take a look at the top 3 in the championship: Benefield, Terrell, and E.J. O'Rourke. Now O'Rourke is not in the sim here tonight. He is not in this race, but Benefield has a average, if you take a look, has an average start of 3rd, an average finish of 1.5. So definitely the most consistent driver, as some of the cars towards the tail end of the lead lap start to cycle through for the green flag stops. Bobby Terrell, quite the polar opposite Harrison, has an average start of 15th, but has an average finish of 3.5, which has him up in that number 2 spot. So again, Terrell, you have to assume that he likes his race trims better than qualifying, because that's a pretty significant difference.
Yeah, and actually, come to think of it, I think Bobby Terrell might have that average based on the Talladega. I think his Talladega strategy was to start in the back and take it easy. That might have been the factor there. Although Terrell, I don't believe his qualifying run last week was exactly where he wanted it to be. However, it'll be interesting to see how it works out, because while you can get away with a bad race, the statistics of it all should be interesting, because I do think it's possible one of these drivers could top 5 his way through all 10 races. This will be interesting to see, as we've had a number of drivers working their way down pit road. Steve Ritter was one of the drivers to short pit, working his way past the number 9 of Vincent, Dwayne Vincent, who is currently in 2nd position. Ritter with fresh tires here. Ritter lost some track position, has been bouncing around a little bit this race, and a lot of times short pitting is a strategy to go there to try to make up some lost ground.
And Forrest Schneider has come down and he has exited pit road, so he'll cycle down to 2 laps out of it. Right now in position number 4 on the racetrack is Matt Lacrosse. You want to go back to that average start, average finish differential. Matt Lacrosse has an average start in the first 2 races of 5.5, an average finish of 16th.
Yeah, Matt Lacrosse, I think, had a rough go at Talladega. Actually, I don't remember, but it's been rough for him, and you know what? It's been a rough race for him as far as the bodywork on his race car. It's a little bit dented up, but he's holding really strong in 4th. Been one of the faster guys on the track, but right now about 2 seconds out of that battle for 2nd, as Dan Murray in the number 5 has just been solid all race long. Just solid lap time, solid everywhere. And he's worked his way to the back bumper of that number 9 of Dwayne Vincent. And these guys, while other people are short pitting, I think these guys up front are pretty much staying out as long as they can, or as long as they think that they have to, as you certainly don't want to get caught with a caution here and be stuck a lap down or two, because that would absolutely end the race. And so that's where Benefiel is feeling the benefits, no pun intended, of having such a big lead, because he can stay out longer than the guys behind him, not lose too much time.
We see what you did there. 10 cars remain on the lead lap right now. Kevin Linden is the last of those group. He sits 17 seconds back. Positions 11th through 15th are one lap down. Sherry Ann Mills actually back down pit road. Looks like she's got some front end damage on that number 77. She actually had a self spin at a 2, and now caution flag to fly, some other incident on the racetrack. And some machine sideways down the back straightaway. The 82 of Jamie Moore for the second time tonight. And just as you mentioned, Harrison, that these guys don't want a yellow. The yellow flag is going to fly.
Yeah, absolutely. And a solo wreck here for the 82, Jamie Moore, has not come down to pit yet. Just came out of turn 2. Just no turn in that car. Just lots of understeer. Very, very tight. Hits the wall out of turn 2. That car shoots to the left, spins right around. And so everyone who stayed out, that's exactly why they stayed out. They were banking on a caution happening. And so Jamie Moore a lap down right now, being shown as our guys on the lead lap. There are 9 cars on the lead lap that will be headed down pit road. And I think you could bank on all these drivers taking 4 tires.
In 9 machines remain on the lead lap. The first car 1 lap down is the 41 of Corbin Hemstreet. Several drivers staying out to get some wave rounds. Cody Gibson, there goes the 41 for his lucky dog, but the 58 of Justin Wilson, so he'll cycle through to the tail end of the lead lap. Brian Harvey and then company, but the 85 of Benefiel enters his stall again, has that number 1 pit stall down at the end of pit road. Right side tire is going to go up for service, obviously going to take on fuel. This will make them good for the end. A restart is going to be coming with about 45, maybe 43 laps to go, but 4 tires and off, no challenge from anybody else. It is all Adam Benefiel off of the pit lane. The battle is going to be for second off. Looks like the 9 of Vincent gets it over the 21 of Lacrosse. The 5 machine of Dan Murray is going to be the 4th car off, and 5th car off is the 6 of Ronnie Potts. Going to step away once again, take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, get you set for what's going to be a late race restart as we start to close in on that checkered flag. You're watching the Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault Series presented by Inside Sim Racing TV live on LSRTV. Going to have more racing coming up after the break.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks and terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Back green and at a corner number 2, going to be 3 wide for P2. The 5 of Dan Murray to the bottom. It's the 21 of Matt Lacrosse who's stuck in the middle. He'll cycle up to the outside lane as the 9 of Dwayne Vincent, rather. He jumps down in line, so that'll be a side-by-side battle for third. Just back going green, Adam Benefield already 8/10 out front.
Yeah, Benefield has really just shot out of these restarts like John Forrest leaving the starting line. He's gone early on, he's gone on the long run. Just dominant performance at this point, to say the least, as the number 5 of Murray works underneath the 21 Lacrosse, who just caught the wall out of turn number 4. Lacrosse, a few dents there. The body shop have some work to do later after this one, but it's been a strong race. But Murray gets really tight out of turn number 2. The 99 of Rollo looks low on Murray, but Murray shuts the door. Rollo not able to get a nose on that number 5 car, and so Benfield out to a lead. Dwayne Vincent tucks into second, avoiding after that 3 wide battle just a moment ago, and Murray tucks into third.
The 6 of Ronnie Ponce wants to go side by side for 5th. He will do so. It's a 21 machine on the outside lane that is Matt Lacrosse. You mentioned Lacrosse, and he's going to throw it in down into 3 on the outside lane to try to hold off that 6, hold that 6 at bay. He's going to get a good run off the corner as Ronnie Ponce. He'll go back to the inside. Do we see the 21 throw it back down? This time it's going to be door to door, so he cannot do so. He'll make it a side-by-side battle, but that is not the first time that we have seen that 21 machine Matt Lacrosse catch the fence. In fact, he nearly did it again there at a corner number 2, cutting it real close. The right side of his machine is really torn up. He's able to hold that 6 at bay once again and hang on to P5 for the moment. You talked about Dwayne Vincent. Vincent is about half a second to the good on Dan Murray, who's behind him in third, but at a Battlefield, again, already 1.2 seconds plus out in front of him.
Yeah, and certainly that right side damage that you spoke about on that 21 car, it certainly can affect straightaway speed. This being a 3/4 mile track, not a huge deal, but usually if you've got right side damage, it tends to make your car tighter, which you certainly don't want. These nationwide cars certainly have a tendency to understeer, as Lacrosse really doing all he can right now and holding strong despite all of that damage. As Rollo caught the apron big time just half a lap ago in front of Lacrosse, and Lacrosse really closing in on that 99 of Rollo, who seems to be driving pretty hard right about now, but making up some ground. Rollo closing in on the 5 of Murray for that 3rd spot.
These cars at this racetrack, it is definitely not as aero sensitive as round number 1 at Talladega, but you can't be knocking it off the wall. It's not outdoor. You're not going to keep going if you continue to hit the fence off the corner, cough Matt Lacrosse. But the quick car Chevrolet, he is closing in on Mitch Rollo. That would be for P4. Rollo got a little bit squirrely off the corner, and that's down to half a car length right there. Getting ready down through the full field as they run right now. Adam Benefield, again, still in the number 1 spot, and pretty much has been all night long. Dwayne Vincent sits P2, who has Dan Murray closing in on him. That's a 3/10 of gap for P3 and P2. Mitch Rollo rides around in 4th, and you can scratch that off because Matt Lacrosse going to get through and clear, so move Matt Lacrosse to 4th, Mitch Rollo back to 5th, Ronnie Potts sits 6th, Scott Simley 7th, Rhett McBride in 8th, Corbin Hemstreet back to the top 10, he sits 9th, and Kevin Linden get around out the top 10 in the 48.
Yeah, Justin Wilson in the 58 right now, being shown in 11th, recently got back on the lead lap. Bobby Terrell in 12th right now, 1 lap down, followed by Brian Harvey in 13th, Steve Ritter in 14th, Forrest Schneider currently shown in 15th, followed by Cody Gibson, Sherry Ann Mills, Jamie Moore, Keith Brooks, and Nathan Little. Both those 2 cars actually out of the race. Actually, Jamie Moore, after his most recent spin off turn number 2, out of the race as well. So there are 17 cars running currently.
Again, Keith Brooks Jr. and Nathan Little, interesting enough to note again, they both brought out yellows, but then immediately afterwards, they dropped connection to the SIM. They didn't manually disconnect, so interesting to see that, but nonetheless, they did not join back, so 19th and 20th is going to be the result for them. And then again, Jamie Moore, you mentioned, has retired. We have a handful of cars 1 lap down. There's 5 of them. Sherry Ann Mills, the only machine that is still running that is either not on the lead lap or not 1 lap down. She is stuck 4 down, and before that yellow, we didn't really get a chance to cover it, but we had a spinner down the back straightaway, but just moments before that, she had to come back down pit road after already completing her stop because she had a self-spin at a 2 and put that front end into the inside retaining wall down the back straightaway, so that's where that damage comes from, and that's how she has ended up 4 laps off.
Yeah, it certainly puts a damper on her race. She was in that rough battle with Corbin Himstree, who's currently shown in 9th, and also Brian Harvey, who's currently in 13th. And so, potentially pretty good race here. Unfortunately, 4 laps down currently, and I don't even think we touched on this, but Bobby Terrell, the reason why he's in 12th, he's one of the drivers who's short pit. I believe he came down approximately 25 or 30 laps ago. And so what Bobby wants more than anything right now is a caution, because he's in that lucky dog spot, and he's probably going to be in that lucky dog spot for a while, as he's the fastest car that's not on the lead lap. And right now Justin Wilson, who's in 11th, is the last car in the lead lap. He's got a nice gap on the leader for now, but the sooner the better for Terrell, so that he has more time to work with should he get a caution. But if we don't get a caution, certainly, we're talking about the guy who's second in points right now. And so a 12th place finish certainly would not be what he's looking for.
And Terrell and Benefield, the only 2 drivers that entered tonight with both top 5 finishes in the opening 2 races. Obviously, if Terrell finishes where he is now, or does not get a yellow sometime soon, he is the lucky dog spot right now. But if he does not make up a fair amount of spots, about 6 of them, he will not get that 3rd straight top 5. But Adam Benefield, by all means, appears that he is well on his way. He's, again, 2.5 seconds out front. A 2nd place result at Talladega, a 1st place result last week, and sitting in 1st place this week. Looking to make it 3 straight top 2 finishes. It's going to count as all top 5 finishes when you look at the stats. RealSimRacing.com for any info on that. But I mean, the Roll Speed Dynamic Chevrolet of Benefield really has been the class of the field. Dwayne Vincent appears to be getting better as the night goes on, getting qualified 11th, was able to creep up into the top 5. He's slowly been knocking off positions. He rides around right now in 2nd, not very comfortably, I might add, because Dan Murray is only about a car length off of his bumper as they work into one. But Dwayne Vincent, again, if I will believe, and I think we can call a spade, Harrison, if this thing has a green flag stretch to the end, it's all Adam Benefield. It's his to lose. The only place I can see any of these guys having a shot at it would be a late race restart, some chaos. But even a late race restart, Adam Benefield's been near picture perfect on all the restarts tonight. Yeah,
certainly. If Adam Benefield is restarting in the lead late in the going, it really looks like he would have it wrapped up. Where it gets interesting is if a caution were to fall, where the drivers would look to take advantage of his situation, is on pit road. So maybe a couple of people would look to stay out, maybe 2 tires, but certainly this has been a dominating performance. And as we're coming up on 20 laps to go, as actually the number 9 of Dwayne Vincent really lose out of turn 2, going to lose the spot to Murray, but that could have been a lot worse than it was.
Dan Murray, again, does a great effort as we get that replay up of avoiding a car that was sideways in front of him. It was earlier in the race where he had to get on the binders to avoid a spinning machine and won it. That time, again, was able to get around it. So Dan Murray not only showing the skills there as far as running in the top 2 spot right now, but he's done a really good job of keeping himself out of some trouble, because he could have easily been, and that could have easily been his 2nd incident that he's in tonight. However, he's going to keep that machine clean because he's able to react very quickly to those incidents in front of him.
Yeah, and it's a tightrope to walk. When someone in front of you has an issue, you kind of want to stay on the gas and take advantage of that spot should they recover from that pretty quickly. Now, obviously, there, Dwayne Vincent lost a lot of momentum, so Murray had a lot to work with. But in that situation, as the car in front of you is losing that momentum, you don't really know. And so, as we're about to take a look at the replay right here with Dan Murray, just simply Vincent was trying to get all that he could, and coming out at turn number 2, I believe Vincent caught the apron. That offsets the car, it loses its balance, it hooks left. Vincent had one heck of a save, but loses 2 positions as Murray and Matt Lacrosse scoot on by.
So Benefield gets set to take 16 to go. It was 17 to go this last time by the start-finish line, and again is just set sail. They're good on fuel, they're good on tires. One thing that could also make this one interesting is if we see a late race caution, do you stay out? Does Benefield come in and try to take advantage of tires? That could be another possible situation, but much like the last green flag run, we saw a caution once we started to get cars out there going different speeds than each other. Cars that were on fresh tires versus cars that were on some extremely worn Goodyear tires. So right now, with 11 machines on the lead lap, everybody fairly spread out. Again, we have those kind of groups that we talked about earlier where there's a couple cars with in a few car lengths of each other. Actually, we're going to go side by side. It is not for position. Bobby Terrell is a lap down. These 6 will get on by him. Ronnie Potts is trying to catch Scott Simley, who's about 8/10 up in front of him at a racetrack right now. But it looks like this is pretty much going to stay clean and green till the end. Knock on wood on that one. But, I mean, we're closing in right now. And, I mean, Adam Benefield, he is closing in on some lap traffic. The 8 machine in front of him, the 58 in front of the 8. The 85 really has no reason to rush this traffic. He is sitting with a 4.2 second buffer.
Yeah, certainly that lead grew when Vincent had that trouble out of turn number 2. And certainly one of the disadvantage of being this far out on everyone and being this dominant, if there's a disadvantage at all, is as you pointed out, if that late race caution were to fall, you could almost guarantee that whoever's behind you is going to do the opposite of what you do in order to try to capitalize. So say that we get that late race caution. The 85 stays out, you could almost count on pretty much everyone coming down pit road trying to capitalize. On the opposite side of the coin, if the 85 comes down, I think there's a higher likelihood that the cars behind him would stay out. Of course, if everyone comes down pit road, some might just go the two-tire route for that track position. And so that's the one thing that you really think about when you're in this position. You know, you have a comfortable lead. It's been a comfortable race, really, just a dominant performance. But that's what you worry about, is that late race caution strategy takes you out so easily when you're in that position.
And when you look at a team like the 85 crew, who again last week was a 1.5 at Atlanta, dominating performance once again there. He finished second at Talladega, and that race, contrary to what stereotypes you might give Talladega, was actually decided by a lot of strategy, as it went caution-free and green all the way. He's had solid finishes both of those tonight. Our first short track of the season, he's dominating as well. What do these other teams have to do to beat this guy, Harrison? I mean, we're going to be rolling forward into 2 more 1.5, Chicago and Kentucky. He dominated at the last 1.5 we did. Adam Benefield looking pretty unstoppable, I got to say up front. Now, it is early. It's only race 3, but, I mean, he's definitely coming out of the gate flying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for a lot of the drivers around him, certainly it's a bit of a new build for this car. The tire is handling a little bit differently. It's basically the equivalent of a new Goodyear tire for the NASCAR guys. And so Adam might have just caught onto it very quickly, and people just simply might catch up. But people are just gonna hit the test track and try to catch up on speed, because certainly these drivers have a lot of league racing experience. These guys have raced for titles before, and if they're going to have to compete, they're really just going to have to gain speed. But it's been impressive to say the least, as right now with 7 laps to go, we have a caution out. The 77 was around on the backstretch, Sherry Ann Mills.
77, GoDaddy Ford of Sherry Ann Mills, going to go around at a corner number 2. Again, she has had issues with that corner earlier in the race, and the left side tires down on the apron is what gets her, and that is going to change everything. The what-ifs that we asked about if we see somebody come down and pit. Adam Benefield is on 155, so this may be cutting it close for maybe a 2-lap or even a 1-lap restart.
Yeah, and I think if you're Adam Benefield, you really only have one choice, and that's to stay out. You know, he's going to have the benefit of starting from the lead. He's going to be able to jump out on these guys. Some of these guys behind him might come down, but there's not a whole lot of time to work with. In fact, Dan Murray, it looks like he's going to stay out. I believe pit road is open. We'll have to see if anyone came down. Looks like the first car to come down pit road is the number 2, Rhett McBride, running 8th. And so most of the top 7 stayed out. And I think it's because they recognize when we get back green here, it might just be a 2-lap shootout. And so a lot of these guys don't want to give up the track position, knowing how hard it could be to pass.
That could have got real bad for Adam Benefield, because if you're the race leader, there's always the probability that, okay, if I pit, everybody else is going to stay out. Or if I stay out, everybody else is going to pit. However, that was kind of the same mentality that Dan Murray was thinking. If he came in and everybody else went in behind him, these guys would have a serious shot at getting Adam Benefield here. However, with such minimum laps, Dan Murray is pretty content, I'd say, with the second place result. Obviously, he wants the battle for the win, but no shame in running P2 to a car that really has dominated this season. So the fact that he stayed out, it almost benefits Benefield. And the first car that came down pit road, no pun intended, Harrison, on that one as well, that the first car that came down pit road was 7th on back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the timing of this caution was everything. The fact that this caution came so late is what's making this race for Adam Benefield. And you know, if it were just even 2 or 3 laps earlier, it might have been you know, it might have been quite a different complexion of the race here, with more cars electing to come down pit road. But some of these guys in the back are going to be coming through the field with a mission. Certainly, Rhett McBride and a couple others are going to be trying to take advantage of those fresh tires and trying to get what they can. But it'll be interesting to see. I don't think any of the drivers that pitted really have it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get into the top 5. And so it's still looking good for that 85 car who's dominated this race, and he just wants to get a perfect restart, jump out on these guys, and not let anything happen after dominating the race.
So over the radio, the drivers confirmed that they have been given 2 to go. So we're going to go on board with the number 9, Dwayne Vincent. And Napa Chevrolet will restart in position number 4. And it was last night on LSRTV that the Cup side of things, the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Gary Mercer Trucking, came down to a green-white checker finish tonight. Going to come down to a 1-lap shootout. Benefield, who has been so strong on these restarts, that's on average picked up about 8/10 on the rest of the field. The next time they came across the stripe off of a restart, is going to have to just nail it one more time. You have to anticipate that Dan Murray is going to have to try to anticipate it. He's going to have to try to nail it with that 85, and he really has to take a guess. The 85 of Benefield has been going almost immediately after the pace car every time, but he has changed it up a little bit. If Dan Murray nails it, he's got a shot at it. However, he will be not on the preferred lane. He'll be up top. That could give Matt Lacrosse a relative shot, but if he doesn't guess correctly, that could stack up that whole outside lane.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are Dan Murray, I think you could almost count on the 85 Benefield going pretty early here. That's what people tend to do here on the 1-lap shootouts. But as you said, Benefield has been changing it up. But that's Murray's shot to win this race, is try to go when the car inside of you is going, as they work their way through 3 and 4. It's all in the 85's hands.
But a final time, the iRacing Ford first pace car to pit road. Dan Murray caught sleeping at the start-finish line. It is all Adam Benefield. White flag in the air. It's going to be side-by-side for second on back. If they wreck, there's no caution. Vincent out to the fence. He's going to go 3 wide, and Dwayne Vincent's going to lose a lot of spots. 3 wide back in the pack, almost 4 wide down the back straightaway, but through corners 3 and 4. Adam Benefield, a dominating performance. The Derek Spear Designs 120 to Adam Benefield as they wreck at a corner number 4. A big wreck as multiple cars wreck. Half the back of the field has piled them in off the corner, and we're going to have to wait to see the rest of the results from about 5th on back, because big trouble out of 4.
Yeah, there was a lot of racing coming out of turn number 2. People just scattering all over the track. Dwayne Vincent with a really frustrating start there, because the car in front of him just did not go. Yep. And so Vincent was stuck on the high side going backwards, and the wreck occurred there entering turn number 3 with the 41 getting into the 4. But actually, Corbin Himstreet, as he got into the 4, actually was run into by the 48 and the 15 getting into the 48, and really just a huge chain reaction with everyone trying to get everything they can. But what can you say about Adam Benefield? Absolutely dominates this one. Going to have to look at the lap-led total, but needless to say, he led the most laps by a huge margin, and fitting that car comes home with the victory.
Yeah, it looks like the 48 got into that 41, and once that 4 machine was turned around, you had the 2, the 48, the 67, a couple more machines involved. The 58 got a piece of it as well, the 77 to Sherry Ann Mills, the 8, because at that point, even though they're wrecking in front of you, you're coming to the checkered flag. I can guarantee you many of those people did not want to lift coming off that one, and that attributes to about a 6-7 car incident off the corner, but really no drama up front. The 1-lap shootout goes to Adam Benefield. It's going to be 0.3 of a second to get back to Matt Lacrosse as Benefield makes his second trip to victory lane in 3 starts. Going to step away for our final commercial break. When we come back, going to talk to the top 3 finishers and get you set for the weekend 1 race time for race number 4 in Chicagoland. More to come from Richmond on the other side.
A race car has a soul.
Back live at the Richmond International Raceway, where race number 3 in the 2014 Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault Series campaign has come to a close, presented by Inside Sim Racing. The Derek Spear Designs 120 was a dominating performance by the 85 of Adam Benefield, but on pit road right now with our P3 finisher is Harrison Winelet. You've caught up with the driver of that Hemsaw Chevrolet.
Yeah, and I'm caught up here with the number 5 driver. That is Dan Murray. And Dan, let me tell you, he had a couple of like really, really near misses, moments that can end a race in a flash. And if you can, just describe your thoughts in those moments where you know the wrong move can result in a really torn up race car, and the right move can be so beneficial.
Yeah, tonight was a lot different than last night. It seemed like I was just trying to be really, really, really patient, and it helped me. I was able to miss a few things. If I would have been going the way I normally go, I probably would have been involved. But it was a good night, a lot of fun.
Yeah, and looking at these point standings, unofficially, I have you moving up to 3rd in points, and looking at the points with 8 races left to run. Or excuse me, that'd be 7 races left to run. Next week is Chicago. How do you feel heading into that one?
Chicago is one of my favorite tracks. I like it a lot. Usually have a lot of success there. Hoping to do the same to stay out of trouble and be there at the end.
And with another dominating performance from Adam Benefield, we're able to get a good look at what he was doing and possibly ways to catch up to his pace after these last 2 races.
Adam's just on a hot streak right now. It's hard to stay with him. I would like to seen what I could have done on fresh tires, on an even playing field, and see where we stacked up. But he had this thing covered. I would have just liked to had a shot there.
When that late race caution came out, did you ever second guess staying out, or did you think that it was just too close to the end, that it wasn't worth the risk to try to put on tires for a quick shootout?
Oh, I would have loved to put on tires, but I know if I come down, nobody else is coming. So it's kind of I don't know. If you do it and people come with you, then you're good to go. But I knew that late in the race, nobody's going to come down pit road. I got hurt on that once before, and I wasn't going to do it again.
So, and looks like it was the right call. Ended up with the 3rd place finish, move up to 3rd in points. Lose a little bit of ground in that leader, but certainly stay within range. And who makes it happen for the number 5 group? Who would you like to thank?
Just everybody at Steel Horse Racing. All the support that they give myself and Steve and Cody and everybody. It's makes it a lot of fun to come on here and get in the sim and race. And just Adam did an amazing job tonight. Congrats to him, and thanks to my wife for letting me do this and have some fun. So thanks, guys.
It's Dan Murray, tonight's 3rd place finisher. I believe Evan has caught up with our 2nd place finisher.
Yeah, we're down here on pit road with the driver of the number 21 Chevrolet. That's Matt Lacrosse. He's going to make some major improvements to his average finish count this season. He entered tonight 3rd in the championship standings with an average finish of 16th. Matt, come home top 2 today. And did you have anything at all for the 85 of Adam Benefield?
No, he was on a different planet. Adam runs really strong all the time, and during that long green flag run, we all kind of stayed together, and then Adam just checked out. So I knew that if it stayed green, I was racing for 2nd pretty much because I wasn't going to catch him. And when we got that caution, I was a little hopeful that he might have made a mistake and I could have got a chance, but he doesn't. So I mean, good for him. I'm just glad to run 2nd.
Taking a look at the right-hand side of your race car, that sheet metal is pretty torn up. You met the fence a couple of times off the corner, this being a fixed set series. What do you think the difference was between you and the 85, and what was giving you problems there off the corner?
Well, he's probably way more smoother than I am. I tend to drive it in probably a little too hard. I'm getting way better at it. I used to be really terrible at just driving the car in hard like a dirt track. It was bad. So I back my corners up, and sometimes I'd let the car roll through the center and not really touch the brake or gas, just let it roll. And then when I'd feel like it was time to get back in the gas, I'd get it in all the way. And sometimes I'd get back in a little early and then pick up a heavy push coming off the corner. And sometimes you think, oh, it's going to be okay, but sometimes you just barely touch the wall. I didn't get any incidents, so it was just some zeros, but they still wrinkled some stuff up.
You're going to remain within striking distance in this championship. I believe going to be moving up to P2 after Bobby Terrell not having the best result. He comes home in 12th. Moving forward, we're going to go to our second 1.5 of the season. It's actually going to be back-to-back 1.5, Chicago and Kentucky. How confident are you moving into those?
Pretty confident. I'm good with the 1.5s. I do decent at Chicagoland. I really like Kentucky. So we'll just have to see how things go. I really got to thank Nathan Little for jumping in for me last week and subbing for me. So, yeah, I just look forward to Chicagoland. See you guys next week.
Who makes it happen for you and the 21 crew?
I'd like to thank InsideSimRacing, Derek Spear Designs, Quick Car Racing Products, you guys at LSRTV. You guys do an awesome job in this league, RSR. It's why I've been here for a couple of years now. It's a good league, good people.
Definitely. Well, congratulations on the top 2 finish, and we'll roll forward into Chicagoland, and we'll keep an eye on that 21 up front.
Thank you, sir.
That's going to do it down here from Pit Road. Matt Lacrosse, your second place finisher tonight, and Harrison Weilitz, you're down in Victory Lane with our back-to-back 2-time winner now this season, Adam Benefiel.
Yeah, and Adam's got a worst finish of second so far, 3 races into the season. And Adam, the tally is 154 laps led, which is pretty incredible if you ask me. How great does it feel to run that strong in a race here this evening?
It feels awesome. You get lucky every now and then, and with the guys that's in this series, the level of competition, man, it feels good to be able to do something like that. It felt great, but these guys are stout, they're smart, and there'll be races where I'm gonna be trying to chase them down.
Yeah, and certainly if there's any disadvantage at all to dominating a race, it's if a late race caution were to come out, certainly puts you in a vulnerable spot. Was there ever a thought of coming down pit road late in the going?
No, all week long, with NIS, man, it seemed like if you were inside of 20 laps to go, you were staying out, and what you got is what you got.
Getting this nationwide car to work around Charlotte, is there anything that you really focused on? What was the most difficult part of getting all the speed out of this race car tonight?
To me, I don't know how it felt for Dan or Matt, but to me, it felt like if you really try to charge the corner and get on the brakes hard, the front end would just slam and you'd be riding on the splitter and it wouldn't turn. So that was the biggest thing, making sure you hit your marks going in and you didn't apply too much brake to, get it down on the splitter real hard. But, that was basically the biggest factor, and figuring out where to get off the brake to let it roll the center real quick, carry the speed to the center. But it wasn't too hard once you got it figured out.
Yeah, and looking at the rest of the schedule, with Chicago, Kentucky, Michigan, Kansas, Charlotte, Phoenix, and Homestead, is there any track that actually worries you? Is there one that you have circled on the schedule as maybe that you'd have to put a little extra work into?
Honestly, Chicagoland. I've never really raced there at all. I couldn't tell you the line around that place, but I got a great group of guys with this new team I'm with, David Cater and all them, Laura Lawson and Todd Hendricks and all the guys. They've been there hammering down all week, and maybe they'll give me a couple of pointers.
Yeah, and that can only make you more strong, which certainly interesting to think about with such a strong start to this season. You just mentioned David Cater and a few of your teammates. Would you like to thank any sponsors, anybody else you would like to thank?
Yeah, first off, y'all guys here at LSRTV, y'all do a heck of a job on broadcasting. Roll Speed Dynamics, Derek Spears Designs, Inside Sim Racer, those two companies for helping sponsoring this deal. And my team just joined them, so looking forward to what we have in store down the road. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to two of my really good friends. Nick Ottinger won the pro race. good job to him and another Roll Speed Dynamic driver and also Gale Force driver, Matt Busa. He finished fourth, got him a good top 5, so congrats to both of those guys.
That's Adam Benefield, driver the number 85 of Roll Speed Dynamics Camaro, and what was really, Evan, just incredible performance tonight, just dominating.
He put down the fastest lap out of anybody in race trim by a 10th on lap number 8 with a 21.567. He leads 154 of 160 laps. It is the Adam Benefield show. He'll finish P1, get ready down through the full finishing order. Matt Lacrosse comes home second, Dan Murray third. We talked to the top 3 finishers. Mitch Rollo able to come home fourth, Ronnie Potts in fifth, Dwayne Vincent sixth, Corbin Hemstreet seventh, Justin Wilson P8 result, Kevin Linda ninth, and rounding out the top 10 is going to be Scott Simley.
Red McBride had quite a bit of damage, ended up 11th, though. Bobby Terrell caught a lap down, ends up 12th. Steve Ritter 13th. Brian Harvey 14th. 15th was Far Schneider, making his first race in this series. 16th was the number 8 of Cody Gibson, followed by Sherry Ann Mills. Jamie Moore was out of the race in 18th, followed by Keith Brooks Jr., Nathan Little. And Nathan Little was the last place car.
Joshua Williams scheduled to start and sub for Kyle Taraska disconnected from the sim. He never did make that start, and he will come home with a 21st place result. Before we step away, Harrison, moving forward into next week at Chicago, it has been a one-man show. Second, first, and first now for Adam Benefield. He says that he's not all that confident moving into Chicago. Some of the other guys we talked to say they're pumped for it. They're ready to go racing at Chicagoland Speedway. Do we finally see somebody put up a challenge for that number 1 spot and battle with that 85?
I certainly think he'll be vulnerable there. I know of some people who are trying out Chicago, and it's with this newer tire that came about just a couple of weeks ago. And I've heard the car of just being extremely tight, and so whoever figures out how to get their car to turn the best, they can really have an advantage there. So certainly it sure looks like it's going to be the most vulnerable that Benefield has been, but he hasn't looked very vulnerable at all. Try to say that twice as fast, but so it should be interesting. But I mean, he certainly looks incredible so far into this season.
Rolling forward into next week with the Real Sim Racing on Monday nights live on LSRTV. It's going to be the first race of the chase for the Full Throttle Cup Series, also at Chicagoland. And again, 1 week's time, same place, same time here on LSRTV. Tuesday nights is going to be the B Series once again. Asphalt Assault presented by InsideSimRacing and Derek Spear Designs. Once again, going to go to Chicagoland Speedway. So 2 great races with RSR coming up in 1 week's time. Don't miss it. That's going to do it for tonight's broadcast of the executive producer Laura Lawson down in the infield, pushing the buttons and getting us on air. My partner in crime, Harrison Weinlitz, for joining me once again up in the broadcast booth here this evening. That is going to do it from the Richmond International Raceway. It is another dominating performance. It's all Adam Benefield. He'll pick up race win number 2 on the season. We'll see you in 1 week's time from the Chicagoland Speedway.